And Bethel smothering in the front court for Matt Painter, former Purdue player. Meanwhile, for Siena, Wright, Poole in the backcourt, Long, Bisping, and Silas up front. He's in the middle for Siena. And we are set to tip things off. Rob Poole, the leading scorer for Siena. A team that comes in 2-6 overall out of the Metro Atlantic Conference.
Siena's going to run what we call flex offense, something that Jimmy Patsos picked up from his mentor, Gary Williams, while at Maryland. Look for them to press. Meanwhile, Purdue, man-to-man.
Here's Bisping. Bisping had a big game against Purdue last time. He had 16 points. 10 seconds on the shot clock for Marquise Wright. Took the ball screen from Silas and got to the basket. Missing the shot, and here comes Johnson in a rush the other way. Jerome thought about it.
Once Purdue gets into the half-court mark, traditional patented 4-out, 1-in motion. They'll play around Simpson inside, getting the start today.
Down on the block, Simpson, nice underneath move and couldn't cash in. Rebounded by Bisping.
I like Simpson, good young player who redshirted last year, injured early in the season, still a freshman.
Nice move inside and the bucket good. Siena scores first, Mo Silas.
Silas, the junior from Lagos, Nigeria, he had 17 and 14 in the win at Cornell earlier in the season. I was going to say earlier this month, but
yeah. Feels like the season's been in swing for a little bit already. Inside, Simpson trying to bull his way to the bucket. That's going to be a jump ball possession arrow in favor of Purdue. Jim Patsos, the former Loyola head coach.
He looks good right now. He's going to need some antiperspirant here 10 minutes in.
Looks like his mentor Gary Williams used to work up a little lather on the sidelines.
Smart move not wearing the tie today. I'll save a tie.
Inside, Simpson getting a lot of touches, Fran, early in this game.
And coming up short. He needs to use the left hand there, Mark, but I like his energy.
Out of bounds, it'll stay Siena basketball. Meanwhile, Matt Painter, the head coach for the Boilermakers, been a tough time for his team here, going 0-2. He's the former three-time Big Ten Coach of the Year. Missed the NCAA tournament last season for the first time since 2006.
Rebuilding, has a young team. Got some good pieces.
Long kicks it back out. Evan Hymes in the ball game. He was the starter last year at the point for them. Nice feed inside and one. Levon Long with an opportunity to complete the three-point play.
This is your prototypical power forward in the MAC. Long's about 6'6", Mark. Little undersized. He's one of those guys you always say, boy, if he was only 6'8". Well, if he were 6'8", he wouldn't be in the Metro Atlantic Conference. But I think this young guy's got a chance to be a very good player for Jimmy Patsos in conference play the next 4 years.
Completes the three-point play, averaging just under 10 points a game. Purdue breaking that full-court pressure. Johnson lays it up, is fouled on the play. The foul won't count.
Now this is Siena's style. Jimmy Patsos with the full-court press. Got this under Gary Williams, the 55 press, but Purdue, having just seen it a week ago, they're going to attack it, try to create 2-on-1s at the back.
Tyrone Johnson at the foul line, a 50% foul shooter on the season. Had a big second half against Siena the last time out. Ended up with 15 points and 3 assists last time.
Well, you mentioned how close it was. It was 53-50 late in the second half before the Boilers pulled away.
Former third-team All-Big Ten member knocks down a couple of foul shots. 5-2, just underway. Fran Fraschilla, Mark Jones here courtside. Glad you're with us. This is the first of a couple rematches. The putback good, and Siena active at both ends of the floor on the glass.
Well, Bisping's a kid that had his career high against Purdue last week. He's from Peoria, Illinois. He had a lot of friends and family at Mackey Arena.
Hammond's inside, missing everything almost. And Hymes back the other way.
Hymes a dangerous outside shooter, even though he's diminutive.
All of 5'8". You can hide behind those screens sometimes. 18 on the shot clock. Hymes has it again out top. Turns the corner and gets to the bucket. And gets the floater to drop. Evan Hymes was the starter last year. Coming off the bench this year as Marquise Wright takes over at the point.
Well, really good start for Jimmy Patzos' club. We're looking at a Purdue team right now trying to find itself a little bit.
Ronnie Johnson, the sophomore, got fouled. He'll get 2 at the line.
You mentioned Hymes, Mark. He made 59 threes a year ago, so he is dangerous out there. But he's got that speed and quickness. He gets that soft floater up on the rim, gets the friendly bounce. Got to be able to make that high paint floater if you're 5'8".
That's become a necessity now for guys that size. As Johnson knocks down the first of 2. Bisping will take a seat. Marquise Wright comes back into the ball game, so they go with a pretty small backcourt now. Friend, Siena does. Not unusual though for Coach Patzos.
Well, Wright, a young man that was the Gatorade Player of the Year in the state of Maryland.
It's going to be a foul against Purdue. It's against Raphael Davis. Siena already 4 for 6. Nice post up by Silas on the block. Had it partially blocked by Hammonds. Loose ball. And Purdue comes out with it. That's going to be a foul against Poole. Maybe a good foul as Purdue had numbers.
It was a good challenge by A.J. Hammonds, a young guy that came into this season with a lot of promise, a lot of NBA people looking at him long term. And 3-game suspension to start the year. Team related, has not really gotten on track yet.
Yeah, I was looking for him, Fran, to distinguish himself a little bit more in this tournament. Hasn't done so yet. Out of bounds, it'll come back the other way, Siena basketball.
Well, he's a work in progress offensively, Mark, and yet last year he dropped 30 at Indiana. He's got the good size, good body.
There's Hymes.
Oh, good flex, good anticipation by A.J. Hammonds.
He's got possession again. Silas kicks it back out to Hymes.
These are the games, Mark, where you got to create your own energy if you're a player. The crowd's not really into it.
How do you do that, friend?
You know what? It's in your chest.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Call a heart thing, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. You only get to play 35 of these a year. You got to come ready every night, no matter where you're playing.
Off the miss by Long on the jump hook. Purdue posting up Hammonds down low. No double, and he wheels in the lane. Nice move. Drawing the foul on the play. Foul's going to go against Silas. And we got a timeout of the floor. Siena leading by 6.
I think is the crown jewel job in the Metro Atlantic Conference. Now, as a former Manhattan coach, I'd beg to differ. But great support in Albany, great arena, Times Union Center, and great place to live. Jimmy Patzos trying to rebuild their program.
Manhattan, one of the favorites to win that conference this year.
That's right.
Siena look at coming out with a little zone look here.
Yep, 2-3 zone, changing out of the timeout.
Stevens, he's the zone buster.
And no conscience.
Wow.
And that's a good thing. He has a sense of the moment. Outstanding shooter. Hasn't shot a free throw yet this year, Mark, but you know what? He didn't get close enough to the paint.
Kendall Stevens, the son of Everett Stevens, former Purdue player. Hymes, nice kick out to Wright, and Wright with a soft touch. His first field goal of the ball game.
It is a small backcourt, but carries a lot of firepower. Hymes and Wright, 2 guys will play together a lot this year.
Hammonds on the post up, wheels baseline, and the double team coming nicely from the baseline. On the bounce, jump ball possession arrow in favor of Siena.
A.J. Hammonds, take a look now. He doesn't recognize. You should catch, look over your inside shoulder, but he doesn't see the double team coming. Bisping with a good job of tying him up.
Hymes with the stare down jumper, good. Man, he's a tough cover when he gets it going. 4 points in the ball game, and Siena's lead up to 7. Siena trying to snap a 3-game losing streak.
Well, we mentioned they went toe-to-toe with the Boilermakers a week ago and had to come out of that game with some confidence in West Lafayette.
Ball knocked away, nice defensive play. Long on the break, nice Euro step move. Levon Long and a timeout called by Matt Painter. Long with 5 and the biggest lead of the ball game for Siena, standing at 9.
Take a look. I love when they're winning. It's just a phenomenal place. You remember Fran McCaffrey?
Yep.
A few short years ago, they went to 3 straight NCAA tournaments from 2008 to 2010. Fran now doing a great job at Iowa. Almost won the Battle for Atlantis last night, losing to Villanova.
Out of the timeout, Stevens got a good look at it. Hammonds battling inside, showing a little bit of fire and desire that time.
That time he caught the ball, kept it high, did not come down and dribble it. And good agility right there by the youngster from Gary, Indiana, sophomore.
Here's Hymes. Long posting up hard on the block. They didn't get it to him. 12 on the shot clock. Hymes on the dribble. Tough jumper by Bisping off the mark. And Purdue coming back the other way in a rush. Nice cross-court pass. Hit Hammonds right in the hands. And he couldn't squeeze it. That's the 3rd turnover of the ball game for the Boilermakers.
Well, that's the kind of early season it's been for A.J. Hammonds, not yet on track. But a great look by Sterling Carter, the transfer from Seattle.
They've got a couple of postgraduate transfers on Purdue. Peck, the other one from Cornell. Nice post up by Long inside, took the hit. And a nice tip on the weak side by Brett Bisping.
It's a young man that really finished his freshman year strong a year ago. And he's picked up right where he left off. He's a good energy guy inside.
They go right at him at the other end, though, and Hammonds, with a little get back, he's got 4.
See, if you're A.J. Hammonds now, Mark, you ought to think about dominating this game with your size.
Well, he's gotten a bunch of touches early in this ball game. Seen him a little more engaged than we have in previous contests here in Orlando. Long steps out, and he's got a long bomb range. 8 points for him.
Let me tell you, he was first team All-Met in D.C., and that's a heck of an accomplishment, especially for a young guy going to Siena.
Hammonds right at Bisping again. And
I like it.
He's giving him work on the block.
Well, that's what he needs to do, really. He needs to force double teams tonight. A.J. Hammonds too big and too strong to allow one defender on Siena to guard him. See those baseline cuts? We call it the flex.
Hymes on the wing. Nice ball screen. Hymes with the pull-up. Kept alive, but Purdue, good hustle by Hammonds. And he gave it right back. Hymes with a quick step and blocked by Hammonds. And a great show of sportsmanship to help him up. Hymes wreaking.
4 days ago he said, we don't really want to talk about it until it happens because we have to take care of beating some other teams. They did. It's going to be very interesting tonight to see how those Memphis guards can rebound after a very poor performance in Stillwater.
I would hazard a guess, Fran, that they're not going to shoot as poorly from the field as they did in that first meeting. But you know, when you're facing that talented Cowboy team, anything goes. Both free throws good. He's got 5 now. Check that, 6. Siena leading by 10. Strong move to the bucket by Davis, and he draws the foul.
Phil Davis, one of those in-between size guys. Plays with a lot of energy. Kind of reminds you a little bit of Kyle Marshall from Butler. Can play around the basket, play away. Another one of the homegrown youngsters on this Purdue roster from Fort Wayne.
When you look at Purdue's prospects this year, Fran, they're picked to finish 8th in the Big Ten Conference, which has 12 teams, of course. Don't worry about the math, folks. But does the road to the championship in that conference still go through East Lansing and Michigan State?
I think it does this year. Certainly the last few years, there have been a number of teams at the top of the league. I'm impressed with Wisconsin starting, getting off to this 8-0 start. And certainly Illinois playing maybe a little better than people thought, although it's early. Scheduling has a lot to do with these records.
Nice move inside. Silas, he's got 4 in the ball game, and Siena keeping Purdue at bay, leading by 10 points.
Keep in mind, Mark, Siena is picked 10th in an 11-team Metro Atlantic this year. They got some pieces.
Yeah, the prognosticators might want to check some of this video they're seeing tonight. Great 2-on-1 and wonderful defense.
Oh, man.
Oh, relentless effort by Silas, and he got ripped and commits the foul on the play. As Sterling Carter stole the ball from him, that's going to be his 3rd personal foul, and that's huge.
Well, Silas has had an impact on this game. Nice dish on the 2-on-1. Take a look at this block from behind. Good effort, and Silas holds that ball out like he's a waiter at the ESPN club on the boardwalk.
That's his 3rd foul. That's huge for them. He was pretty active at both ends, Frank.
Watch the lob here.
Siena goes inside, and a nice move, pardon me, Jay Simpson for Purdue.
Simpson came up empty early in this game, but like his energy, like his size, he's gotten himself into terrific shape as a redshirt freshman. Lost about 30 pounds, runs it really well.
Bisping back in the ball game with 2 fouls, and he draws the foul from Simpson. You know, friend, back to the Big Ten chatter we were alluding to a moment ago. You were talking about the success of Wisconsin with the new rule initiative on player movement and less physicality. There were some people floating the notion out there that it was going to affect Bo Ryan's team a little bit because they like those grinded out, slow, physical type of games. Your thoughts on that?
Possibly, but on the other hand, remember their swing offense is about freedom of movement. You know, UCLA cuts, flex cuts, ball movement, spread out. I think it's been a net positive for the Badgers. And they are playing very, very well.
Nice kick out. Cool over to White. White with a knuckleball type rotation on that jumper. And Siena with another possession, leading by 8.
Really good energy by Siena right now.
And has no chance. Yep. White with an errant pass, the 2nd turnover of the ball game for Siena. And Purdue gives it right back. Whistle and foul, and man, Hymes slammed into the backstop. Man, that had to hurt.
Watch this. This is really good quickness right here. Watch Hymes play peekaboo with Rayfeld Davis.
And you hear the slam.
Good, come on. Be tough.
Oh,
Be tough.
Be tough.
Easy for him to say. Evan Hymes had 3 points and 2 assists in that game against St. Joe's in their last run.
Now remember, he's a young man, actually had a pretty good game up at West Lafayette. Right. He had 18 off the bench.
Yeah, 5 assists as well.
Yep. So,
Fred, he started as the point guard a season ago, and Jim Patsos, the new head coach, comes in. He's got his own guy, Marquise Wright, one of several freshmen on the team who runs the point as the starter now. You've been a coach. Put your coach's hat back on for me. Yes. What's that conversation like with Evan Hymes when you sit him down in your office and you say, hey, here's what we're going to do?
Well, it's one lucky break. Not lucky for Evan, but they went on a trip to Canada, and Evan Hymes was hurt, couldn't play the whole time. So Marquise Wright was the point guard. He kind of assumed control and made that decision a little bit easier.
Back with the layup at the other end.
Yep. And so I'm sure the conversation went, hey, listen, you're going to play starters minutes, but we're going to bring you off the bench, be our our offensive, our Vinnie Johnson, our microwave scorer.
Looks like he's enjoying the role so far.
Well, he's got freedom, that's for sure.
Bad entry pass. That's the third turnover for Siena. And a chance now for Purdue to cut the lead to 5. Ronnie Johnson, the sophomore, out top running the show. Hammonds unable to get the handle on the pass. The 6th turnover already for the Boilermakers.
Well, they're trying to isolate Hammonds and pull everybody away from the basket, almost overload that side. That ball went sailing over A.J. Hammond's head.
Levon Long gonna get a little breather on the bench. Coming off a pretty good game against St. Joe's in their last run at 13 points to go along with 3 rebounds.
Another one of those freshmen from the D.C. area, Michael Wolf, in the game now. 6'9". Jimmy Patso signed 4 guys out of that D.C. area to come join him in Siena.
Don't have to go far in the DMV to find talent. Back with more on
Mark. And great command, and then since then he's obviously built a great program. Going through some struggles right now with a young team, but the requisite toughness that's always epitomized Purdue basketball is certainly there.
Well, he says that the strength of this year's crew is its depth. They use 11 guys, a lot of balance inside and out. Hammonds keeping it alive. Long jumper, no good. Hammonds couldn't get the rebound. Off the miss from Carter. And Siena able to hold Purdue at bay, still up 7.
Did a good job of controlling the tempo of this game, running their offense. Now you see him in a little bit of a motion offense, 5 out.
They make you play defense, friend, deep into the shot clock.
They do. Yep, they run a number of things that make you guard. Good kick out.
Nice drive and kick. Hymes from the corner finds the 3.
And that's Levon Long. And Mark, that's why those undersized power forwards at the mid-major level are so difficult sometimes for the big boys to handle. Long showing us inside scoring, outside scoring, that time to drive and kick.
Inside to Hammonds. Nice cross-court pass. Good ball movement by the Boilermakers.
Nice.
Johnson with a great dime. And no change for Siena. Wonderful pass. And that's 4 points for him now.
That was excellent ball movement by Purdue. That ball went side to side. See Long almost operating as a point forward.
And Hammonds not stepping out to guard him much. 15 on the shot clock. Wright got the finger roll to go.
I'll tell you what, Levon Long did a great job of sealing Hammonds up the lane, away from the basket where he could not be in position to get a piece of that shot.
Little zone look here, friend.
Yep, they keep mixing up back and forth. Well, you know your basketball.
I've watched your videos. Yeah. Got a lot of spare time in the summer. Hammonds inside. No doubt about that one for the big fella.
All right, a couple possessions in a row now that Purdue has gotten the ball right at the teeth of that Siena defense.
Long takes it right at Hammonds and kicks it.
And Robbie Poole, normally a very good outside shooter, shot 40% last year. Struggling early, not really looking for a shot.
And the turnover by Siena. Their 5th. Younger Johnson over to Peck, straight away. Rattled halfway down and out, and Hammonds going to commit the foul on Poole, his 2nd personal.
Now watch his ball movement, Mark. Now they get inside, a nice dish by Ronnie Johnson. Peck finishes. And then once again, side to side, inside.
Finish it.
A.J. Hammonds a lot more active than we've seen him throughout the course of the tournament so far. At the other end, though, Rob Poole is going to go to the free throw line. 6'5" junior from Haddonfield, New Jersey.
They weren't in the bonus yet, so only 6 fouls on Purdue, so they'll take the ball out full court. Foul took place under Purdue's basket.
8-point Siena lead. Wright working against Johnson. They switch it on the pick. A little bit of a mismatch here.
Well, they switch right back into the matchup.
Still plenty of time on the shot clock. It's down to 10. They got to get to work, though, soon. Nice crossover by Wright. Wolf with a clean look.
Oh, boy.
Great patience. His first bucket of the game.
The big fella, George Germantown Prep. Another one of those freshmen that Jimmy Patsos brought to Albany from the D.C. area.
Johnson on the drive and kick. A lot of traffic and a great steal on the play by Maurice White. And he gives it right back, a little bit out of control.
I thought so. Maurice White started the season with a monster game against Albany. 17, his first game as a college player.
Peck's jumper no good. It's one and done at the offensive end for the Boilermakers. Friend, this Siena team, you talked about it a little bit ago. They had a chance to go up to Canada and go on a 5-game preseason exhibition tour.
Yeah,
and it certainly helped build their chemistry a little bit.
It's always good when a coach takes over, can take his team in the summer on a tour. Take a look right here. Marquis, D.C., and then mentioned being an assistant at Maryland, head coach at Loyola. So that area very fertile for excellent high school basketball.
10-point ball game. Poole back out to Wolf. Boy, Long's working hard to get open. They didn't see him. 8 on the shot clock.
Let's see what Wright's got. Can he get in the lane?
Long came off the screen and rebounded by Tyrone Johnson. Nice feed underneath. And one. Strong move inside by Jay Simpson. He's got 4 with a chance for the 3-point play. Timeout on the floor. 3:14 to go in the first half. The Boilermakers.
Because they play with a chip on their shoulder because they don't get the attention that the D.C. or the New York guys get.
Interesting.
Yep.
Huh. Nothing wrong with getting a highly motivated player on your crew.
Yep.
Simpson knocks down the free throw.
That's the Charm City, by the way. Do you know that?
I didn't know why did they call it the Charm City.
I don't know.
It just is.
Yeah, it just is. But I did know that.
You'd have to log on to Wikipedia at halftime and just check that, just for my own edification. Here's Wright out top. Under 3 minutes to go in the first half.
There's that, trying to run that flex cut. Now they run into pick and roll. You mentioned, Mark, very deliberate, at least in the half court.
5 on the shot clock. They got to get busy here. Wright had it punched. And here comes Johnson the other way. Tyrone Johnson took the contact from Rich Adu. And will go to the free throw line for a pair.
Well, you gotta use that left hand, young guy. When you use that right hand, you take it right into the heart. Well, take a look now. The right hand takes it right into the heart of the shot blocking with Simpson, so you can't protect the ball.
That's a pretty good outlet pass, friend.
It was.
Right.
Tyrone Johnson, I described him as a power guard. Physical.
He had a big second half against Siena, the first time these two teams met. Ended up with 15 points and 4 rebounds. One of the few seniors on this roster. We got him and the other 2 graduate seniors.
Well, probably the one Achilles heel of his game is his shooting. And certainly that manifests itself at the free throw line.
1 0 for 2. That's why he's only a 50% foul shooter on the season. 2.5 minutes to go in the first half. One of these teams is going to get their first win of the Old Spice Classic. Nice drive and kick. And Poole knocks down the 3.
And Robbie Poole had been struggling for much of this tournament, although he made his first 3 threes against St. Joe's. At that time, a really clean look. Good rhythm.
Lead back to double digits at 10. Johnson with an open look, and he counters with his own 3-ball. He's got 5. Long going to work.
Good defense. Oh, good
Boy,
cut.
It's a tough pass. Kick ball, it'll stay Siena basketball. Bisping's going to come out. Richadu comes in. A reach and a foul is going to be against Peck. That's one of the points of emphasis. A great illustration of the rules on the books that are now being strictly enforced. He reached in, and they're cutting down on all hand checking, Fran.
Well, no need to even foul out there, you know. Audu, a player been hurt, hadn't played a lot. No reason to give him a chance to score at the foul line. Young man from north of the border.
Yeah.
Another Toronto native.
Pretty good ball players coming out of the greater Toronto area.
They have permeated the landscape of college basketball the last couple of years.
There's that little full court pressure now.
55 press, 1-2-1-1. Look at this.
Turn it over. Poole gets a bucket. So it pays immediate dividends. Johnson took it baseline to baseline and couldn't finish. Now Hymes is going to pull it out.
I like it. Good decision by Hymes. Whoa.
Tried to get him with the okie doke. Nice dime inside to Long. And a whistle and a timeout called by Jim Patsos. His team leading by 11 with 1:19 to go here in the first half. This is the largest lead of the ball game for Siena. And here's an education in it, and actually close right through to the end.
Well, Siena's already played 8 games, and they've played. They've been challenged a little bit, playing a pretty tough schedule. You think of LaSalle, close loss. Purdue a second time. Memphis, St. Joe's. Got a win over St. Bonaventure.
Not a lot of breathers out there.
Nope.
Hymes on the drive-by draws the foul on Tyrone Johnson. Well, you have to be impressed with the work of Evan Hymes today. A 5'8" junior out of Durham, North Carolina, going to the line. Look at this move.
Well, you mentioned, Mark, 2-year starter, and I think, we said this very early, and you asked me how he would react to coming off the bench, but I think it's pretty clear that what we've seen in the early season from Siena, he's playing starters minutes.
77% foul shooter on the season. I've heard coaches, Fran, try to sell that 6-man role, a Ginobili type role, Jason Terry type role in the past is a kind of sexy role.
Got to buy in.
How tough
you got to buy in. Everybody wants to hear. Everybody wants to hear their name called during the starting lineups, Mark. You know, it's about being a good teammate, understanding, how the coach values your abilities. Hymes certainly seems like he's buying in.
He's got 12 points. Certainly's got a blank check, and Simpson had it rattle in and out.
Boy, Simpson's had some bad luck, but he also needs to use his left hand some.
$13-point lead for Siena. Whistle and a foul going to go against. Actually, no, that's traveling. 7th turnover of the first half. Stevens going to come back into the ball game for Purdue. They could use a little jolt in the arm of offense. Shot clock is off.
Siena sitting in that zone now, doing a good job in the first half, mixing up zone man, a little full court pressure.
Long jumper. What do you make of that shot, Fran? It was there, but is that a good shot?
I don't think so. It was essentially going to be the last shot of the half. Now they should get the last shot of the half here, unless they get a layup inside. Look at this. Look
Great
at
hustle.
this.
They come up with a steal. Great
Wow.
teamwork. Wright tipped it to Hymes, and he got the layup. And they lead by 15. 7 seconds to go in the half. Johnson, and that's going to be a blocking foul against Long.
Very fortunate that time because Johnson, I thought, was out of control. You know, maybe Long slid.
Looked like Johnson had that right arm out a little bit too, Fran. Instead, he'll go to the free throw line. He missed 2 on his last trip there.
Well, this is what we talked about. Barring something crazy happening in the last 3.4 seconds, Siena's going to go into this halftime with a very healthy lead. It's amazing how many teams don't work on inbounds plays, Mark. I hate when teams throw it out to midcourt. That's a helium pass and almost a 50-50 ball, and Siena turns it to 2 points. Teams very rarely run plays to score anymore underneath.
Siena just sizzling from the field today. Shooting right around 62%.
Oh boy.
Here in the first half. A whistle and a foul going to go against Siena.
And see, that's what I was talking about. Barring something crazy, I would have almost rather them throw it in and run to the locker room with a 13-point lead. You know, it's just unnecessary. You don't want to squander prosperity. He's not happy with himself, but boy, they hit a 3 here. Watch out.
3.4 to go. A lot of time. Can squeeze one off. Floater. Off the mark by Ronnie Johnson. Siena never trailed in the first 20 minutes of play. They led by as many as 15 and shooting 62%.
Well, he does play starters minutes, but he does give you that, you know, that energy, that juice off the bench. And he certainly, it paid off for Jimmy Patsos and the Saints in his first half.
He has been the Boilermaker killer again. Had 18 points and 5 assists in the first run between these two teams. And off to a good first half start here in this one.
Now, first 3 minutes of the second half for Purdue will dictate whether they can get back in this game.
They went to Hammonds on the post up, and Johnson missed everything on the jump shot.
No consistent scoring for Purdue right now, Mark. At least that's what we've seen in these 3 games here in Orlando.
Poole comes off the screen.
Siena does a good job of running their offense. They know what they're looking for.
Wrong move, but a nice defensive play by Hammonds against Silas. Johnson the other way, threw up a wild shot.
2-on-1.
Wright throws up the low, and Wolf with a strong finish.
How about Michael Wolf? This spring with 4 fouls, he's sitting. Wolf gets the start. Freshman.
Hammonds again with another touch, this time finishes. 10 points for him.
You really have to play through him right now. You would think at 7 feet and 240 that he'd be able to overwhelm Siena inside.
We'll reverse it around. Long lost the handle, scramble on the court. A timeout called by the Boilermakers. We'll take a timeout right along with them. The high hand up. They trailed by 13 points. Fran, what would a win, and we get a lot of basketball to play first, but what would a win mean for Siena against a team from a power conference like Purdue?
Well, first of all, that's the first aspect of it, okay? A Metro Atlantic school being the Big Ten. Secondly, you got a young coach, not necessarily young, but at least first-year coach, trying to establish his own culture. Be a tremendous confidence booster for this program.
I'm sure Jim Patsos will settle for Young. We
Yeah,
could stop there.
I think he would.
Hammonds inside, and he walked with it, kind of lost his balance. But it's clear they're going to him as option number 1 and 2 here in the second half. That's the 10th turnover for the Boilermakers.
Well, his agility, Mark, leaves something to be desired. It really does. I was expecting, he's a young player, young post player, but you know, in terms of him thinking about leaving after his sophomore year. He better learn where Erie is.
Poole with the three. Rob Poole, a 32% three-point shooter. And now the largest lead of the ball game at 16 for the Saints.
Robbie Poole has been very selective in the shots he's taken in this game, and very well done.
Hammonds again inside. He's got a dozen.
He's the one guy that I really do think can dominate this game for Purdue offensively.
Here's Poole again. Oh, nice feed inside. Long had it blocked by Hammonds. Nice defensive play by Hammonds and great hustle by the Boilermakers. Johnson in transition. Tough move and a great follow for the flush from Smotherman.
Basil Smotherman, one of those freshmen for Purdue. He's had a couple of moments of brilliance early in the year. But that all started with A.J. Hammond's defensive presence inside.
Still down by 12. They tried to get it to Long, a jump ball, and possession arrow in favor of Purdue.
If you're Purdue right now, Mark, you must play with a sense of urgency. You see the block right there, could have been an offensive foul. And then the hustle by Rayfel Davis. And little sportsmanship right there.
Yeah, usually the guys on the other team clear out.
Yeah. Or hold you down, won't let you get back on the court. And then you see the tip by Smotherman, the young man from Indianapolis.
Siena ball. Tough jumper, rims out. And a chance now for them to cut it down to 10. Whistle. Looks like we're going to have a blocking foul.
Wow. Take a look now. He's coming right at you. Well, the only thing I can think of is his feet were so wide that he's established.
Bryson Scott dodging the foul there.
It's almost a default call this year to check the block.
Jumper no good. One and done. Fourth rebound for Bisping. Bisping had a real quiet first half, was in foul trouble for most of it.
4 fouls. That doesn't happen. You don't see that happen very often.
No. 15 on the shot clock.
This is a big possession for Siena. If they can keep this lead stretched, give them a little bit of confidence.
Wright carried it. I mean, he put that thing in the bag. That's the 9th turnover. And Wright will get a breather. Evan Hymes, their energizer, back into the ball game.
Take a look right here. Does the hand come underneath? It's close. Do you think it did? I don't know.
I'd say carry.
Okay. You watch a lot of NBA, you know.
Hammonds with a great drop step. And friend, they got it down to 10. Hammonds just filling his hat in the second half.
And I think you got to play through him, Mark, and then you got to make Jimmy Paxos decide to double team or not.
A little bit of a force by Hymes. Purdue with a 3-on-1. And a foul that'll send Ronnie Johnson to the foul line. Foul line for the Saints. Check that. It's going to be Ronnie Johnson going to the free throw line. And for the first time in a while, they got the lead back under double digits. Ronnie Johnson played a lot as a freshman last year, which was good and not so good for Purdue, Fran. He got some valuable experience, but that's part of the reason why they didn't make it to the NCAA tournament for the first time since 2006.
Well, we say about freshmen, the best thing about them is they become sophomores. He had to get his feet wet in a very, very difficult Big Ten conference, guarding the likes of guys like Yogi Ferrell, Trey Burke, Aaron Craft.
Purdue turning up his defense. Wolf with the drive. Whistle and draws the foul on the play.
Well, I like Michael Wolf. Didn't start this game, but hit a 3. He's been very aggressive. Good size young man at 6'9". You don't get this kind of size and athleticism in the Metro Atlantic.
Both missing the first. That foul was against Hammonds. You look at his third foul.
You look at I call it the MAAC, because we have the MAC and then the MAAC, the Metro Atlantic.
I was wondering how I was going to say that tonight.
Yeah, we just say MAC. But Siena Manhattan certainly at the top of that league. Jimmy Barron, Canisius, had a great season last year, 20 wins. Billy Barron, of course, outstanding scorer.
Into the Canisius men's basketball team traveling through the Atlanta airport a couple of days ago. Busy time of the year for all teams around the country traveling, and a great tip underneath.
Good job by Simpson. He comes in. They're like the two-headed monster, Simpson and Hammonds.
Purdue with a lot more energy coming out of the locker room here.
Well, this is exactly what they needed.
Fran, the question, though, is when they get the ball, who do they play through now that A.J. Hammonds is on the bench with 3 fouls?
It'll be a little more equal opportunity based on that motion offense.
Pull-up jumper by Wright.
Oh, good hustle.
Rebound by Bisping.
Need to keep him on the floor with those 4 fouls the way he's played. Remember, he had 16 points in the game last Sunday in West Lafayette. Sophomore from Peoria, Illinois, just over the Indiana-Illinois border.
That foul, Fran, against Jay Simpson. Saints to inbound.
Siena could use a basket right now and try to stretch this lead out, try to regain some of that momentum they had in the first half.
10-1 run for Purdue over the last 3.5 minutes. Wolf with the corner jumper. Rebounded, his chance to get it to 5 for the Boilermakers. Scott had a wide open look, passed it up. Strong move on the baseline by Simpson. He's got 9, and it's a 5-point game. Timeout, Jim Patsos, with Hammonds on the bench now for a couple.
University after I'd say a solid NBA career, really good role player. Good guy. Got to know him when he was in Dallas. But how about this? Illinois did not recruit him, even though his father was the head trainer.
There's a million crazy
stories,
recruiting stories. You know more than I do. Siena hasn't made a field goal in the last 5 attempts. Who do you go to now if you got to put your money down on somebody?
Give me a couple seconds, I'll tell you. But I don't mind going to Hymes.
Hymes probing and stepped out of bounds. Wow. So they've really gotten sideways offensively, their 10th turnover.
You know, one thing we talked about in the first half, Siena had great rhythm and flow in their offense. They also made some shots. Now Hymes here, driving he steps out of bounds.
Right foot.
And a little zone by Siena.
Simpson with a nice feed. Peck gave it back to him. Oh, pretty passing, but all for naught.
You know, Bisping's got 4. You almost want to go at his man.
Poole with a nice show and go move, and he's fouled. A rough Poole. Coach Patso said during that Canadian tour, might have been their best or at least most consistent player.
Well, he
really improved.
Yep, excellent shooter, Mark. A year ago, struggling a little bit this year, but a young man from Cherry Hill, New Jersey. He made 57 threes a year ago. Everything that went right for Siena in the first 20 minutes. So far, first 7 minutes of the second half, not going quite as well.
That's 1 for 2.
So if you're Matt Painter, well, that's why they're in the zone, because Bisping's in there with the 4 fouls.
Tough pull-up, no good. Bryson Scott off the mark. He's had a tough time today.
Yeah, he's been impressive in this tournament, Bryson Scott. I haven't really called his name much. The freshman from Fort Wayne. In that baseline flex action.
Bisping a little pick and pop.
And they've done a good job of taking their post feed away.
Yeah, Wolf is working hard on the block to get open. 9 on the shot clock. And Johnson comes in. Tyrone Johnson comes in. Pardon me, Ronnie.
Well, there's no question Matt Painter's got depth. The key is going to be in Big Ten play. Can he get 3 or 4 guys that can put points on the board?
Right with the drive and kick. Tipped up, and that's going to be a foul. Looks like that's going to be the 4th foul now against Long. Wow.
So you got Long out there.
15 to go.
See if Jimmy Patsos either recognizes it or just decides to leave Long and Bisping out there with 4 each.
Patsos will do some different stuff, a little unconventional. I saw him burn a whole bunch of timeouts the other day. I think it was him that did it all in the first half.
You know, they don't carry over to the next game. And you got to use them. You got to use them.
I mean, he used them up early.
Yeah. Ben Howland was quick with those. And then, remember Speedy Morris,
yes,
the coach at LaSalle, also a guy that would burn his fouls early if necessary.
Nice left-handed scoop shot, rims out by Scott. And it'll be Siena basketball. 12:04 to go.
And right now, Siena is in a drought. Still holding on to this 6-point lead, but Purdue's tightened up their defense, but it's also been bad breaks for Siena. Ball's rimming out. See those baseline cuts.
Hammonds has checked back into the ballgame, meanwhile, for Purdue. Just daring Silas to shoot.
Oh, good look.
Nice cross-court pass. 6 on the shot clock. Silas struggled to find the handle. Good hustle to keep it alive, but it's going to be Purdue basketball with 11.5 minutes to go in the game. Purdue trying to boil her up. Trying to make something
Madscape. They gave away a 14-point lead. And against this Purdue team, Mark, as you see Michael Commons ending it with a block, they gave away a 23-point lead. So Travis Ford feeling like his team's got some unfinished business in terms of playing 40 minutes each time out.
It's always nice to have something to tell them about when you watch video.
Yep.
Johnson from the corner, no good. That's going to be a push-off against Rob Poole. Marcus Smart, of course, you get a look at him, the Player of the Year candidate, the preseason Conference Player of the Year in the Big 12, had 30 the first night out against Purdue. Most of those coming in the first half, and 17 in the semifinal against Butler.
Of course, his career high 39 came against that Memphis team you'll see tonight.
Whistle and a turnover against the Boilermakers. They're 11.
Well, here's what you got right now, Mark. You got a Siena team that's only scored 7 points in the first 9 minutes of this second half. Very fortunate to still be up.
Evan Hymes was the guy that made a lot of things happen for Siena in the first half, but he's been pretty conspicuous by his silence here in the second half so far, friend.
Tyrone Johnson has been in his back pocket. And there's another sloppy offensive play.
8 on the shot clock. Back out to right. 5 on the shot clock.
Gotta go.
Poole launching from downtown. A bad possession, and further so with the foul compounded by Evan Hymes. That's his first personal.
Well, give Purdue credit for bottling up Hymes. Doing a good job on Marquise Wright as well. Certainly Siena's offense has not been as crisp. Remember how much we commented on the first half. They ran it almost to precision. Got what they wanted. They're going to stay in that zone. That's right. Well, we see Stevens out there now. You got to look for Stevens versus this zone if you can.
There he launches. Had a decent look.
I think you can get that. I think you can get a better shot.
Johnson underneath. Great reverse layup. Ronnie Johnson. This is the closest they've been since it was 11-6 with just under 15 minutes to go in the first half.
Very methodical comeback by Purdue, doing it mostly on the defensive end.
Poole picks up his dribble.
Nice challenge by Stevens.
Nice cut. Great feed inside, and the lid remains on the basket. Although they'll get another possession here off the tap back. Poole working against the shorter Johnson. Still plenty of time. Wright going to run a set here.
How many times in the last 3 minutes have we said Siena needs a basket desperately?
Poole guarded by Stevens. 7 on the shot clock. Silas loses the handle. They have been disjointed offensively.
Watch this drive now by Ronnie Johnson. You see Peck seals the post defender who can come over and help, and that gives Johnson a clear lane to the basket. Silas over a little late.
Look at that scoring drought. No field goals in the last pretty much 9 minutes. Stevens, rarely will he miss more than 2 in a row.
Well, that's the second straight time, Mark. He's taken a contested shot. And he's got tremendous range and a lot of confidence, but he can get that shot later in the clock. He's settling the last 2 times. You know how good a shooter he is.
Hymes is getting ready to come back into the ball game as Peck runs over Long, committing the foul.
I'm looking up at the scoreboard. There you see the numbers right there. 43 in the first half.
Wow.
There's one area where Purdue has really improved in 2 days, and that's fouling. Only 14 fouls in the second half.
They've been working on that?
Well, and I say it sarcastically because they've certainly adjusted to the way the officiating's been called in this tournament. And, you know, I thought what we saw on Thursday in their game was the aberration and not the norm.
All the fouls against Oklahoma State in the first half of that game, right?
Yep.
5 team fouls against the Saints, 4 against the Boilermakers. Under 8.5 minutes to go. Long inside, and 1. Finally snapping that field goal drought, which ran over 9 minutes.
Strong move by Long right here. We've seen a lot of versatility from this young freshman's offense. Seen him hit a 3, post up inside. That time he takes it in the mid-range and gets to the rim, and he's got to play cautiously with those 4 fouls.
Purdue comes in. Grace White takes a seat. Long trying to complete the 3-point play, a 57% foul shooter on the season.
And knowing that conference like I do, this young man is going to be a handful over the course of his next 4 years for the Saints.
What was the trip to Siena like for your Manhattan team when you guys went up there to play?
Always fun. We had a great rivalry with them back in the early 90s. Mike Dean was the coach, and they were the big kid on the block for a while, and we became the big kid on the block. We had some great battles. I lost a 19-point lead at the half up there.
Still remember it sounds like.
Well, you know why? It's the only time I ever lost to Siena.
There you go.
In 9 tries.
Long underneath with the layup.
Not that I was counting.
And it's a 4-point game.
No, great place to play. Times Union Center. Fans are great. Good cut.
Backdoor cut. Couldn't get the layup to go for Hymes. Purdue with the force. Great rebound, and Bisping got rejected. Johnson going to take it all the way in. Almost had a chance for a 3-point play. Instead, a chance to cut the lead to 2. 7:42 to go. Johnson.
The dice with his young big guys with their foul trouble, I think is what he's saying is if we keep them on the bench, we're going to lose this lead anyway. So we might as well try to leave them out there, hope for the best. Now he fouls out. Bisping has 4. Still have Wolf. You have Silas. But good day for the young man from Baltimore. Is going to be a very good player for Jimmy Patsos.
2-point game. Johnson knocks down both. 70% free throw shooter on the season.
And Purdue's done it the old-fashioned way with good, tough, hard-nosed half-court defense.
They clawed their way back in from a double-digit deficit. Right out top. Poole with a clean look. Bingo!
Poole. Yeah, he hasn't got a lot of looks today, Mark. Purdue's done a good job, but he's got a pure stroke. He may be the guy that has to start to open up his game a little bit down the stretch. Looked like Tim Legler knocking that down.
Yeah.
Or Klay Thompson, your guy.
Either comparison, pretty appropriate. It was smooth. 5 on the shot clock. Long jumper, no good, and rebounded by the smallest guy on the floor, Evan Hymes.
Only the 16th foul for Purdue, so Siena will take it out.
Both teams with 6 team fouls. They'll be shooting on the next one. Siena trying to ward off this challenge by the Boilermakers.
Boy, if there's an area Purdue will struggle in the Big Ten, it's going to be offensive output, Mark. They really don't have any consistent go-to guy that you know is going to get you 17, 18 a night.
Hammonds has showed some pretty good signs of coming alive offensively, at least in the second half of them. Poole, another open look. Another 3. Smooth.
You know, we said it in the first half. He wasn't really looking to force his shot. He kind of took what the defense gave him, but he's been a little bit more aggressive those last couple possessions.
Yeah, quiet 15 for him. Already surpassing his season average of 14. And that jumper good by Johnson. That was Tyrone. He's got 10.
That was a big shot by Johnson, and that's obvious, you know, when you cut it to 5, but one more stop and another basket right here would have really put Purdue in a bind.
You got to run another play for Poole here, Fran, after making a couple of threes?
I think they tried, but Tyrone Johnson smelled out that staggered double that time.
And he walked with it. Right walk, turned it over. Rod Poole, a 32% three-point shooter, finding the range at the right time.
Watch this footwork right here. Comes off, good feet, squares up, good rhythm, good release, great rotation. This young man had shot 40% last year. Has struggled at times early, but the law of averages are likely to catch up with him as the season goes on. Got good range, good size for the conference.
Didn't move his feet well enough there and got caught on that screen. And now they shoot the bonus, 1-1 for Purdue. That's the good news. The bad news is Tyrone Johnson, not a great foul shooter. And that's going to be the 4th foul on Bisping. Check that Poole.
Now you got to play this if you're Siena as this ball's coming off, so you really got to do a good job of blocking out right here. There it is. That's a push.
Yeah, that's going to go against Hammonds. Had his hands right in Silas's back.
Good
recognition. The other end and shoot.
Yeah, good recognition by Siena. Hammonds tried to get away with that. Got to anticipate the ball's going to come off when Tyrone Johnson shooting free throws.
That's the 4th foul on Hammonds. Silas goes to the foul line. Silas, a 62% free throw shooter.
You can see why that first matchup between these two teams went down to the wire. Basically a similar type game today, except Siena has led for much of the night.
Silas knew that one was off when it left his hand.
Siena's got to retreat quickly.
Ronnie Johnson probing. 5.5 minutes to go.
3-2 zone right there.
Quick move on the baseline by Scott. A little bit out of control, couldn't get the layup, and that's going to be a foul against the Boilermakers.
It's like Smotherman, Basil Smotherman, young man from Lawrence North High School, school that Greg Oden, Mike Conley, Eric Montross, among others. Jack Kiefer, the longtime outstanding coach there at Lawrence North.
A lot of great high school programs in the state of Indiana. Right now, though, Rob Poole.
I think they wonder if they want to check and see who was fouled.
Okay, they're checking at the monitor to see who the last foul was on, or who was actually fouled. One of the two.
Given the way Poole shoots the ball, it certainly plays a factor. 5 is going to come into your picture. And I believe that foul was on Smotherman over the back of Rob Poole. Watch 33 in the gold. He's going to get a little push. Remember in the last 2 minutes, Mark, these officials, you're around NBA basketball all season. They can go to the monitor to check shot clock violations or who the ball is knocked out of bounds by.
Got no problem with that.
Yep. And I say this with all respect, the NBA is usually a few years ahead of the NCAA when it comes to those rule type changes. And nothing wrong with jumping on board, right?
Sure, when it works. Poole knocks down the first of 2. Actually, it's 1 at a bonus. 16 points for Rob Poole. And starting to heat up at the best possible time for the Saints. They lead by 7. Hammond's on the bench right now.
Staying in that zone. Got to keep him out of the lane. There's another foul by Poole. That might be it. And that's a dagger.
Wow. Because he scored 9 of their last 11.
That's the second time, Mark, he got caught on that high ball screen, and just watch him. He's just going to, did he foul Smotherman?
Yeah, it looked like he used that arm to
try
and reach around that. Use a swim move, which is, of course, illegal. Yeah, he had scored 9 of their last 11 points. So now the question begs, where's the offense come from if you're the Saints to try and close this out? But Poole really coming alive in the second half.
Well, he allowed the game to come to him. By that I mean he didn't force a lot of tough shots, and when he got good looks, he certainly knocked them down. Moves well without the basketball. That's a pure stroke right there, my friend. Watch the rotation on this ball come off. Pretty good. Now he's got to learn that you see this in high school all the time. I wouldn't let a guy score 2 points than to commit my 5th foul. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, if you can't get over the screen, let someone help you, but don't foul and put yourself and your team in a bad way.
Especially somebody that vital to their chances.
Exactly.
Johnson, meanwhile, knocks down 2, back to a 5-point game.
So no Long, no Poole. They're 2 real offensive threats, although Hymes, we know, can put points on the board.
He had a big first half, but he's been real quiet here in the second. Nice pass back. Bisping, he misses. Get another possession.
Yes, I'd use some clock right here. What you want to do if you're Siena right now is get a great shot. Don't settle short clock. That's almost a moving screen.
Drive and kick. Bisping again. Missing again. This time Purdue gets the rebound.
Both shots were short by Bisping.
Still in it. Johnson on the drive and kick. Smotherman left the floater a little bit short. And back the other way to the Saints.
And Basil Smotherman will want that shot back. He was point blank.
Neither team able to capitalize at the offensive end.
We haven't sung the praises of Marquise Wright enough tonight. The freshman has done a nice job running this offense.
We had pointed out a little bit earlier that 4 of the top 9 or 5 of the top 9 rotation players are going to be freshmen. How tough is that to work new guys in like that?
Well, it's how you build your program. And, fortunately they had that trip to Canada early on.
Hynes with the kick. Baseline jumper no good by White. And back come the Boilermakers. Chance to get it to 3. And Scott will pull it out.
Scott hasn't been as aggressive tonight as we've seen him. He has attacked the basket well. Spin move.
Great spin move. Simpson, soft touch. James Simpson, the 6'10 redshirt freshman.
And he's got that move down.
Fred, you sense that the Saints have gotten a little bit conservative here? Is that the reason for their offensive struggles?
You know what, Mark? No, I think Purdue has turned up the steam in the second half, quite honestly.
10 on the shot clock for Hymes. Working against Tyrone Johnson.
Someone's got to go. It's got to be Wright.
Wright with 4 on the shot clock. Got to launch a 9-1-1. Got all the way to the bucket. Tipped up. Alive. Still live. And Purdue with a chance to come within 1. Johnson and 1 almost. Wow. A blocking foul. Going to go against Hymes. And it'll be 2 shots for Ronnie Johnson.
So as long as they didn't change the score, Mark, I'm assuming that Poole was behind the three-point line.
Meanwhile, Ronnie Johnson at the foul line for the Boilermakers knocks down the first of 2. Johnson, a 70% foul shooter on the season. Adu comes in. Maurice White takes a seat.
Purdue has grinded their way back into this game with good defense in the second half.
It's kind of become the Purdue way, right? With Matt Painter, the coach, going back to the Gene Cady coaching tree, which we documented a little bit earlier.
There's no question. They didn't have the same fire that in the first half, but they should have had.
13 on the shot clock.
See, I think you got to attack off the dribble if you're Hymes or Wright. Can't rely on throwing it inside.
Hymes with the floater. Missed everything.
Shot
clock at 2. They got it off in time. Looked like it was good from this angle. And a chance now for the Purdue Boilermakers to take the lead. Their first one of the ball game.
Well, Jimmy Patzos' club has controlled the tempo of this game for much of this game.
Friend, the biggest deficit that the Boilermakers have faced was 16 tonight.
It was in the first half.
Things look pretty bleak. Hammond's back in the ball game, calling for the ball, wanting it. Working against Bisping with the jump hook and left it short. It was right there for him. And the lead still belongs to Siena, and Patzos is going to call a timeout. Well, Purdue couldn't have asked Fran for a better shot.
Hard to do, but you know, he's a guy that's going to love you to death. He's going to get on you when you need it. But ultimately, great to play for, you know. He's really one of the most popular guys in coaching. He really is. So it's hard to find many people who don't like Jimmy Patzos.
1:45 to go in the ball game. Siena trying to snap its 3-game losing streak. This would be a marquee win for them early in the season against the Power Conference team. Hymes, big shot. And 1 fouled on the play by Bryson Scott. And Hymes now with 16.
We talked about it, Mark. It had to be Hymes or Wright creating off the dribble. And then you see Hymes. Well done. 5'8". What's Jimmy Patzos think? That's it? All's right with the world?
That's the guy he was yelling at a minute ago.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't yelling.
He wasn't yelling at him. He was yelling with him.
It's like how you communicate in your family. You
Yeah,
yell at each other.
exactly.
Okay. 4-point ball game. 1:33 to go in a timeout called by the Boilermakers. Career high 39 in that game.
That lead was in the 30s in the second half. I like the zone here again. They've stayed in the zone a lot. Let's make sure if you're Siena that you don't give up an offensive rebound, challenge all shots.
Johnson probing. Smotherman with a nice lefty move. And a timeout called after the bucket. The lead back down to 2.
Remember earlier, Smotherman had missed that point token pressure right here. And Jimmy Patzos is going to coach this minute 22 with he's going to be ready to try to bring his team home.
Tyrone Johnson guarding Hymes.
Running some baseline flex, little extracurricular physicalness by Purdue. No calls. Got to count on him.
15 on the shot clock. Hymes out top.
Oh boy!
Kicked it away. A foul, and that's going to go against Wright. And maybe a good foul when you look at the consequence of it. When Ronnie Johnson had numbers going the other way.
Well, probably not by design, but in practicality, it may wind up being exactly what happens, Mark. But just an inopportune time to turn the ball over.
Wow. Just booted it. And that sends Ronnie Johnson to the foul line, a 70% foul shooter on the season. 1 point away from tying this game up.
Siena's got one timeout left. Purdue as well. Be anxious to see if Jimmy Patsos will call timeout again.
They were down 16, Purdue was. And this is the game's first tie. Knotted with under a minute to go.
You'd have to have a lot of guts to go 2-for-1 here. Very few college coaches do that. Doesn't look like Siena's going to do it.
Hymes turned the corner, and Hammonds slapped it out of bounds.
Maybe that's exactly what Jimmy Patsos was thinking. Go to the basket, get the quick shot, and then maybe get the second possession back. But A.J. Hammonds put an end to that. Still 44 on the game clock, Mark.
And the shot clock down to 21. Nice block by the big fella from Purdue.
Now if you're Siena, I think you've got to get a great look here. You can't worry about 2-for-1s.
Wright pulls it out, looking for the ball screen from Bisping. Bisping with the look. Left it short. Purdue with a great outlet pass. Smotherman. The Boilermakers with their first lead of the game with 27 seconds to go.
That other point guard was in the deep corner because they were going to play two-man game at the top and see offensive weapons today. If you're Purdue, stay rock solid, do what you've done in the second half, play good defense between the gold jerseys and the basket, and rebound the defensive backboards.
Here's Wright. Shot clock is off. Hymes on the drive. Good help. And nowhere to go. And the big fella Hammonds fouled. Hymes had nowhere to go and forced the shot. And Hammonds now with 6 blocks after that last one.
Hammonds did a great job of course, you watch this, and you're talking 5'8" and 7 feet here. But Hammonds straight to the sky, and a pretty good job of keeping away from Hymes' body.
Hymes had a lot of time left, too.
He sure did, yep. Now, remember, Hammonds, see the foul shooting numbers there.
That's 61%. He's got to make both to make it a 2-possession game.
Yep. Don't be surprised if this ball goes through the basket with a 4-point lead, that Matt Painter takes a timeout here. Sets up his defense.
He's got to make this one to make it a 2-possession game. And he knocks it down.
Okay, going to it.
Boy, big second half for him. Wright trying to go quick. Whistle and a foul called as Hymes drove it in with 4.7 to play.
And you got a couple choices here. If you're Siena, you're out of timeouts. And the question is, do you have a missed free throw play in this early in the season? Because what you could do, Mark, is you could, and this is like a running timeout right here.
Right.
Because of the foul out, Jimmy Patsos has a free timeout. So he's deciding right now, do we want to make the first one and miss the second one, tip it out so that we can get a look at the 3. The other option is make 2, foul immediately, and then hope that there's a miss at the other end that you can run it up the floor. So let's see if I have to guess.
What are your percentages? Which
you know,
way do you think the percentage is
without timeouts here, I almost would make the first and try to miss the second. But if you have to be so good clockwise to foul immediately.
Well, friend A.J. Hammonds of Purdue is our Old Spice player of the game. Take a look at his numbers on the day. 16 points, most of those coming in the second half, and an all-important 6 blocks. And the big one a moment ago. Hymes at the foul line. That limits your options.
Exactly, right? Yep. Now I would just try to make this one and foul immediately and just hope that there are 2 missed free throws. Violation.
Boy, you talk about imploding at the worst possible time. Stevens comes in.
If you're Purdue now, you got to get this ball in safely. It's your jump ball as well.
And they're going to foul with 4.1 to go. A lathered up head coach, Jimmy Patso, saw that 16-point lead that they held at one time dissolve in the second half.
And, you know, give Matt Painter credit, because this was a methodical comeback. You know, it was all blue collar toughness, good defense, good execution of your offense.
Simpson missing the first, but it's still a 2-possession game with just 4.1 to go.
Purdue will host Boston College this week in the ACC Big Ten Challenge.
And for Jimmy Patso, it's a great learning experience for his team. A lot of new guys, a lot of young players. All part of getting ready for the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference play coming up down the road. Boilermakers scored the game's final 9 points over the last 122 and go on to win it 68-63.